Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Legends podcast with me, Sarah Faruya from Sarah Faruya Coaching. And I believe that everybody has stories, and there are many, many ways to lead a life. And I want to tell those stories. And today I have an amazing guest here called Katie Chappell. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Sarah. How's it going?
I'm good, thank you. Is it Chappell or Chappell?
Yeah, Chappell like apple.
Chappell like apple, thank you. And so it's interesting because this is one of the first podcasts where I don't really know Katie personally at all, but we're in the same group together. And she just really piqued my interest because in that group, it's all about money mindset, and it's a coaching group with a woman called Denise Thomas, who's a really great money coach. And Katie just brings this incredible energy into the group, and also concrete results that have happened in her business due to her taking steps through that coaching program. And I just love that as a coach myself. It really piques my interest about how people do that. She shares her numbers and she shares her successes, and I just find that so inspiring and useful. And that's when I just one day was reading what she'd written and thought, I really want to hear this person's story. So it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for saying yes, Katie.
That's all right. It's my pleasure to be here.
Brilliant.
It's fun to talk about yourself, isn't it?
Amazing. So I'm just going to go through your introduction first so people know a little bit about you. So Katie is an illustrator with a difference. So she's a virtual scribe and live event illustrator, best known for her fresh, wobbly illustration and giant live window paintings. She has created live illustrations for global clients, including Apple, Facebook, Google, Chromebook, BT, Dove, and Nespresso, among many others. She says her drawings are there so that everybody can understand what's going on straight away without having to sit through hours of Zoom conferences. And it all started with some graphic recording at a sustainability event for Edinburgh University in 2016. Now she specialises in online virtual illustration from her studio in the UK. She's here so that people don't die of Zoom fatigue or boredom, and she considers herself a spoon feeder of boring information, bringing people back from the edge of, oh my God, not another Zoom meeting. Love that. She's also the co-founder of the Good Ship Illustration, which helps illustrators and image makers navigate a creative career, along with her pals Helen and Tanya. And she's the gang leader at Bullet Journal Gang, wonky productivity, an organization for the easily distracted. Hello. So it's absolutely brilliant to meet you, Katie.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to share your story with everybody. All right, so let's get into it. So Katie, why don't you tell us about your background, your ancestry, your upbringing, and your family?
Amazing. So to start with, I'm in the northeast of England, so I'm like right on the border between England and Scotland. Like 2 miles north and you're in Scotland, so it's super like rural. There's not many people live here, and yeah, my mum's from Glasgow. My dad is from this little town where I live, Berwick upon Tweed, and I suppose like, yeah, so my ancestry is those guys. I don't really know much about my dad's side because he was adopted. That's sort of like a mysterious element there, and my mum's family is like they're from Glasgow, but originally they were Irish, so they came over, and then from what I've heard, they were like very poor, working in fields and stuff. And there's a story about somebody giving birth in a field while they were working because the husband was like bedridden, so they were like working to support the family and stuff. So that I'm always really interested about that sort of thing. And yeah, that's all I can think of really ancestry wise. Is that what you were sort of?
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's so interesting. So do you consider yourself to be kind of half Scottish, half English then, or how do you identify in that way?
Yeah, that's a juicy one because like everyone who's from Berwick upon Tweed, they're very divided. It's like you kind of have to pick a side. So I feel Scottish because I was born in Edinburgh. My mum's Glaswegian. I know most about my Scottish family. But then if I go and see my Scottish family, they're like, oh, you sound like a Geordie, like you're not Scottish. So I'm in this sort of weird, like Scottish, but not Scottish enough, but then definitely not really English. It's very confusing.
Yeah, because a lot of people wouldn't really understand that. I mean, the UK is so small, but there's so much kind of cultural layers to it in terms of, you know, the peoples who've been living there for like hundreds or thousands of years. It's like Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, then Cornwall also. And it's interesting to hear these layers from the perspective of somebody like yourself, and how you get ribbed by your Scottish family, but also they're like, you're a Geordie now. I actually thought Berwick-on-Tweed was in Scotland, so I was quite kind of confused, going, oh yeah, I'm in the northeast of England. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's so close to Scotland that like you might as well be in Scotland, but then like technically, yeah, it's even got a Scottish postcode, even though it's in England. And yeah, the accents here are mad. Like even if you go 5 miles north, people are full on Scottish accents. And then just that tiny bit of geography away, and everyone here sounds completely different. It's amazing.
I'm hearing both now, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
hadn't
it's
heard it
sort of
before. Yeah, I thought I was only hearing Scottish at first, but now I'm hearing the Geordie coming through as well. So
yeah.
did you say you were raised there, or were you raised in Glasgow?
I was raised here, yeah. So I was born in Edinburgh just because that's the nearest big hospital. So like it's such a small town that if you want to have a baby, you have to go an hour in either direction.
So what happens next, Katie? So you've got your background. Where did you spend your childhood? Up there?
Yeah, so I grew up in Berwick.
Yes.
And I've got one older sister who's a photographer. So she's 7 years older than me. And then there's me, and then my mum and dad divorced when I was 9.
Right.
And my dad remarried, and my stepmom already had a son, so I got a stepbrother.
Bonus brother.
Yeah, this is where the family's all like stitched together. So then my dad and my stepmom had a baby, and that's my younger sister, who's now, I think she's like 16. It's crazy. She's
Okay.
grown up so fast. But yeah, I just went to normal school. I was kind of like sort of swotty at school, like loved studying, got good grades easily. And then yeah, I was really into art and languages and music. And I actually wanted to be a blues guitarist. That was like my main goal, because I used to play blues fingerstyle guitar at the local pub. They used to have an open mic night where anybody could play. And I would go and I'd play blues fingerstyle with all these old men, and we'd like sing blues songs together, and people had a harmonica. It was amazing. Like I had so much fun. But then I just suddenly got really shy. And I think it was when I was about 13, and I was just like, nope, I can't do it. And like anytime I went to sing, I would just cry. So it was like humiliating as a teenager to be like in a pub full of old men and be like, it's so emotional. But I think I just like, I don't know what it was. I just really loved the music so much that it made me cry, or like I was shy or something. I don't even know what it was, but I just stopped playing guitar and I stopped singing then. In public, but I still tried to go to college to do music performance. And I got like 3 months in, and then I was like, I'm just too shy for this. So I was like, I remember being on the stage and like having my guitar and just being like, this is not what I want to do. Like, this is horrible. I can't do this. I just want to be enjoying the music, but not like on the stage performing the music. So I went back to school and did my A-levels, and I did German and art and photography, and I was just like quite happy to get on with my thing there. So I was still in Berwick at this point, and then I developed an eating disorder, so that kind of set me back a year from school. I had to take a year out to recover, and yeah, the thing that like motivated me to get better, so I had anorexia and bulimia, and I remember the doctor said to me, he was like, you can only go to university if you if you get better. And I was like, I need to leave this place. Like I need to get better, because it's such a small town. Everyone knows each other. And I think like as a teenager, I just found that so suffocating. And I was like, I need to like escape. And the only way to escape is to get better. So that was really good. Reverse psychology.
Yeah. Interesting. So do you think you've got cured of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've recently started more therapy because I think in the NHS is free and it's brilliant. But in, God, when was it? It'd be like 15 years ago. It was like they got you better enough to like function, and then they were like, yeah, goodbye. Whereas like they didn't like tie up the loose ends and get to like the psychological roots of what was going on or like heal anything. So yeah, I was like feeling mostly better for most of my life, and then yeah, just like last year started more like, I say proper, like more intense therapy around it, and that's been like transformational
Yeah.
for like, even like from a business perspective. I think like I didn't realize how much personal stuff was stopping me in my business.
I'm just writing on a post-it note, book therapist.
I think everyone should have therapy.
I 100% agree, and especially, you know, if there is something really tangible in the background humming away there, like an eating disorder, we all know there's something beneath that, or not one thing, but many different things humming around. And one of my previous interviews was with a lady called Angela Ortiz, and she also had an eating disorder. And she said she went to like a therapy group, but she noticed everybody was just coping, and she did not want to cope. She wanted to recover and become successful. And that's why I asked you that, because I just find that really interesting that they, whenever that was 10 years ago or whatever, they were like, okay, thank you, bye. Now you can function. Yeah. I also think that the idea of healing is quite maybe in the last 10 years I've started hearing that more acceptably. Would you agree?
Yeah, I suppose you kind of imply that something's broken if it needs healed, don't you? So maybe people have shied away from that in the past.
Yeah, especially us stoic Brits maybe in the past have been a little shy about that word. I'm still playing with it, to be honest with you, but I love to hear other people talking about their journey in that respect. So you went to, I feel like I want to kind of dip in there a little bit more. Is there anything, like, what was it that kind of got you to want to heal more of that and go into therapy? Because you said that's about the last year you've been taking intense therapy. Because I love that. And what I also love, Katie, is like when you were like, okay, here's all the stuff, speak to I've got to go to my therapy session. It's like, I love that. It's just like going shopping or something now. Yeah. You know, that's how acceptable it is.
Absolutely.
But what do you think it was that made you go, do you know what, there's more to this, and I think I need to heal this more?
I think like with business getting better and me having to show up and do big scary jobs and work for big clients, like part of me felt like the terrified 13-year-old that was crying at the open mic, and I was like, oh my god, what am I so scared about? And then it was like, I'm not just scared about people thinking I'm fat. There's like, it's like, fat is not an emotion. We're going to go, what's actually going on? So that was like the catalyst. I think just realizing like I do want to show up and I want to like show my face on camera and be on social media and illustrate at live events and stand on a step ladder in Regent Street in London and paint a big window. And I don't want to be like, oh my god, do I look fat? I just want to like enjoy it and be doing what I do. So that was really, I think I just realized that I had to do more like digging and journaling and therapy, and yeah, it's been like a journey of trying like lots of different things, but it's been, I feel like everything that you do towards that, you just get a little bit like, just build on it. Yeah. It's not like, yeah, so it's like gets better and better and better.
Can you think of a specific turning point without getting too personal?
You know, actually, like joining boot camp, the money boot camp that we're both in, that was like the moment when like, because you go through and you see what's economy class, what's first class, and there's all these categories and stuff, and I was like, self-development therapy, like I don't know if I've really done any of that. And then being around people talking about improving themselves and people talking about like different healing things. I know that's an interesting word, but like different healing modalities and different kinds of therapy and different counseling and coaching, that was just really inspiring. And even like Denise, who runs the group, who talked about having therapy. Some of my good friends in real life talked about having therapy. And I think, whereas in the past I'd been like, ew, therapy, like that's disgusting, I don't need that, I'm perfect as I am. It started to, like, my brain started to crack open in a way I was like, maybe there's something to this. Like I could do a little bit of therapy. We'll see what happens. I probably don't need it. But it was like, yeah, so it wasn't like there was a dark night of the soul and I was like crying on the bathroom floor or anything. It was just like curiosity and also finally having enough money to afford therapy, because in the past when I was a student I could have really done with therapy but had like no money. When I was a nanny I could have done with therapy, but I was a nanny, I had no money. So yeah, it's like it just finally got to the point where I was interested and had enough money and was influenced by friends and influential people online. So yeah, it was a nice coming together of all those things, I think.
I think that's brilliant, and I like that you've mentioned that group. I think many coaching groups like that, they help, they it's not like looking at an influencer on Instagram, it's real life, right? So you know the work that these people are doing and why they're there, and then all that kind of agreed upon showing off that we all do is just it's so fun. But also people are going, yeah, I did this, I also did therapy today, I also did, it's real, it's real life, and it's celebratory, and it's well boundaried in there as well. There's no nonsense. People are called out straight away when they go off piste with what the group's about. And I really love that you've mentioned that, because being part of any group like that can be, if it's well done by somebody who's as ethical and as skilled and as how would you say, expert as Denise is, then it's a great place to be.
Yeah, and it's just like proof it's possible, isn't it? Like Pips, you can see all these people that have done incredible things, and they're real people, and you can like go and look at their profile and it's like they're a real person, they're not just a business robot.
Yeah. Sponsored link.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So important. So it's just that the importance of having those people around you as well and seeing them. And the other thing that I love that you said, Katie, there was that you saw people doing it and you were like, actually, I do want to do that. It's that shyness which feels like debilitating or crippling when one is younger, and just uncompromising as well, I think is a good word. Like what I remember from being in my teens, and even maybe at certain points before I came to coaching, was thinking that what's happening today is it, like this is it kind of thing. And actually no, it's not. There's a lot of stuff available beyond that. We have to understand all the things that go into making a person, like privilege, like background, like upbringing. That's why I ask all these kinds of questions. But it is available to, you know, people like you and me who just come from nice, quite regular backgrounds.
Exactly.
But our backgrounds are also fascinating under the bonnet.
Yeah.
It says bonnet. Boot, is that right? Is it a boot or a bonnet?
Yeah, you're going to UK, bonnet. Yeah.
Is it a bonnet? Okay.
Yeah.
I've forgotten because I've lived in Japan for 20 years, so my English is all over the place. It's one of that now. Okay, under the bonnet. Okay. Oh, hood in America, right?
That's the one.
Right.
Yeah. And it's interesting what you're saying about upbringing and stuff, because my dad is an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I think that has also helped with my outlook, and he helped me set up my first eBay account. And like my first foray into entrepreneurial life was like going to the pound shop and buying little LED £1 torches and selling them on eBay for £3.50. And I was like 15 years old. It's totally illegal. You're supposed to be 18. But it was brilliant.
Yeah, but that's another thing though that one has to understand as time goes by, is there's a grey area between the what you're not supposed to do and what you can get away with, and that's not hurting anybody.
No, it's just like buying cheap torches, sell them at a profit.
Win for Poundland and win for people who don't want to go to Poundland.
Exactly. Posting them to the people who didn't have Poundland near them. I remember that was my first realization. I was like, I can just invent things and do them, and if I like package it up nicely and make it look good, yeah, I don't know, it's not like providing a transformation or anything, but it was totally like my first foray into the idea of providing something and getting money for it and doing it on the internet and being at home.
Amazing.
Yeah, my parents were supportive of that. They were like, yes, do it, well done.
I love that. Yeah, and having those kind of champions and sponsors around you as well, who can be like, go for it, and not like, ooh, it's a bit risky, isn't it? Or within the realms of, within the realms of goodness. You're not selling like vitamins that are cures for something online or something like that. No.
It's a fine line though, isn't it? It's a fine line.
It is a fine line, and there it is. So, and we navigate those fine lines, and I'm sure we squiggle in and out of them from time to time as well. Oh, that's so cool. What kind of business is your dad in?
He has a biomass boiler company. So it's like renewable energy. Yeah, it fixes boilers all over the country.
Wow.
Very boring. But I've done this social media and stuff in the past during times when if I've not had any money. He's been like, oh, do you want a job in the office? But yeah, I'm not a fan of the office, I must say.
That's not a place that I should ever be put all day. Nobody should have to put up with this all day. Oh, thank God. So, so you were 15, you were selling torches online. What happens next? So then you go to university as well. So I want to kind of bring the university chapter, like 15, 16, 17, and then you go to university. Where in Glasgow, did you say?
I went to Newcastle.
Newcastle, okay.
Yeah, so I started out at college because I didn't get into the art school that I wanted to. And Newcastle College was my like second offer, and I was like, oh, that'll do, it's fine, whatever, it's close to home. And I did animation for 2 years. So the course was called animation and illustration, and then they changed it to just animation, and I was like, I signed up because of the animation part, like the illustration part, sorry. So that was a little bit like having the rug pulled from under me. But then when I finished the foundation degree, I got straight into the second year of an illustration and graphic design degree at Sunderland University, which is also another city in the northeast of England, and studied there for 2 years. So I did like 4 years of studying in total.
What were your biggest takeaways from that? Like, what were your like big learnings? What skills did you accrue? What did you do? I studied sciences, psychology and biology, so this is just fascinating to me.
Oh wow, it's like a different world.
Yeah.
I think like the best thing I was ever taught at college was to have a blog. So they sat us down, it was 2006, 2007. So like blogging it existed, but not everyone had a blog. And the tutor was like, right guys, you're all gonna set up a blog, open it, and you're gonna write a post every single week, sometimes 3 times a week. And it was about our work and our process. But it so happened that I just kept that blog and kept updating it, and it turned into my like professional work and my portfolio. And that was like the best thing, the best gift anyone could have given me was like, have a blog, because the search engines like it, because it's ancient. It's like, how, like, yeah, 14 years? I don't even know, can't do maths. Long time.
Years.
Long. Yeah, 14 years of blogging.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's radical, because that really, really sets you up for the future, doesn't it? What a treat that they were encouraging people to do blogs, and it keeps you accountable as well. So good.
Yeah. And then that sort of sparked an interest in social media. And I wrote my dissertation about like what effect will social media have on the artists of the future. And it's interesting that now like social media is a huge part of my business, and like having my website, that's the only way people find me is through my website. So it was like I was so interested in that, and it turned out to be one of the most useful things for me now.
It is a beautiful website. I mean, I you know, it's really good. I've got it open in front of me now. I really like it. It's just very simple, but also just, you can just tell it's really well done and really well thought out. And I can remember, I don't know if you posted something on the group that we're in or something, but something piqued my interest. I think it was that you'd been paid quite a lot for something you'd done. I was like, I wonder what that is. And then there's this thing of you live painting. I was like fascinated. Yeah, and that's what kind of initially kind of hooked me to connect with you a bit more and to find out what you were all about and stuff like that. I think it's so interesting. Yeah. So university, you've got your blog, you keep it up. What happens after you graduate university? So you've already mentioned that you've been a nanny. So I'm just interested to know what happens next. What do you try to do and then what happens?
Well,
Yeah, I've got
well.
one of those stories. Well,
This is where it, so in the break of university, I went to be a nanny again. So like nannying was like this thread
so when
throughout my
did you
life.
start nannying?
When I was 17, so as I just recovered enough from my eating disorder to be allowed out into the world, but I'd missed university enrollment, so I had kind of like 9 or 10 months to kill. And I was like, I want to travel, but I've got no money. So that's when I went to Holland to be an au pair.
Okay, so you actually went to Holland when you were 17.
Yeah, which was mad.
So okay, so Katie, when you say like, yeah, and I'd recovered enough that they let me out of, were you in residential care at that point?
So I never was in residential. I had outpatient
Outpatient.
care.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so they deemed me like healthy enough to leave the house, not to like to go and be. They were like, you can go to university now, but obviously I'd missed it, so I was like, right, I want to go traveling, and yeah, to be a live-in au pair was like the next best thing. So I was living with this Dutch family, and the boys were 11 and 13, so I
Yeah.
was just like a big sister. I wasn't like a nanny really because I was nearly the same age as them. And yeah, it was rubbish. I was like, I had to like cook and clean, and I think I got 50 euros a week. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, pants. But I turned 18 when I was there,
Yeah.
and I had a really good night out with other nannies. Got really drunk, but yeah, overall, 2 out of 10 would not recommend.
Because that just, again, it's just like, this is why I love these conversations, because it's like, yeah, and then I was let out and I went to be a nanny, and I thought she probably did a bit of nannying in Berwick or something like that. No, you went abroad. I mean, that's pretty, like, already I'm seeing like there's your edges are quite further out than many people's edges would be.
Yeah, I think my mum's friends were like, are you sure it's okay to let her go? Like, you've just let her, she's just been really ill, and then she's like, you've just let her go to a different country. And she's like, oh, she'll be fine. But I think I really appreciate that about my parents. Like, they've been very much like, if you want to learn a lesson, off you go. Like, we'll be here when you figure it out the hard way. Just do what you want, but we're here at the end of the day, which is really, it's nice.
That is nice. Okay, so then you graduate, and
so I graduate and I'm headhunted by a marketing agency. So it was a brilliant time. All my lecturers were like, "That's amazing, Katie. You're doing so well. We're so proud of you." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I've smashed it straight out of uni. What a champ." And then I found out I was pregnant, which was not ideal, timing wise. And I didn't really understand that you're not supposed to tell your employer. Oh, well, I'm sure if you have a lovely employer and you told them you're pregnant, nothing bad would happen. But I told them I was pregnant, and a week later I was sacked. From
whoa,
this, yeah.
that's
So I was like,
because people think that kind of thing doesn't happen anymore.
and so did I. As like a 23-year-old fresh graduate, I was like, oh, I'll tell them, and we can work out some like flexible working thing for the future. And I'm being so good because I'm giving them loads of notice. But yeah, did not pan out. So they were like, oh yeah, your job doesn't exist anymore. Like, we've rejigged the thing. Like, so sorry about that. Like, it would have been difficult for you to work with a baby anyway. So I was like, oh, thanks. That's really, really helpful.
What coincidence that the job
Yeah.
was going just at this?
So we had a family friend who knew about employment law, and he really was lovely and supported us in like basically taking them to court for sexual discrimination. And I went back to my retail job selling bath bombs in Lush. So they were really good. They were like, just come back, Katie, it's fine. And it was good because I hadn't enjoyed working in the office anyway. And then to be sacked, I was like, I don't want anything to do with this. So there was all that, and then I found out that the baby had a birth defect that was incompatible with life, so lost the baby. But it was all like, you know, like when everything's really going wrong, and in hindsight you can be like, it was good because everything that went wrong kind of led me to where I am today. But at the time it was not good. I was like, there was no hindsight. I was just like, what is going on? This is awful. And all my friends were like doing graduate stuff, and I was back in my retail job. I had like minus money. I was in debt for the first time because I'd got a car for this job, and then I couldn't afford to run. Anyway, long story short, I broke up with my boyfriend and moved to Italy because I was like, I'm done with this. Like, Newcastle's depressing. It rains all the time. Everything goes wrong. No wonder I'm sad. I'll be a nanny because I know how to do that. It's easy. And it was just like the nicest thing ever. I went to work for an Italian family in Florence, and they ran an eco-friendly clothing company for children. And I was living, so I had no bills to worry about. They gave me like a monthly pocket money that was decent. And they let me help with the business as well, which was really fun. So I was like doing some graphic design and illustration for them. I stayed there about a year, I think. And that was really like almost like recovering from the trauma of graduation. And it was just so nice to be like in the sunshine. I made loads of nanny friends. We got drunk on the wine you get in a carton. You know, it's like €1. We'd buy like cartons of wine and go and get drunk. And oh, it was just lovely eating pizza on church steps and going on bus trips to different cities. And yeah, it was like I always feel like whenever I'm sad, like travel makes it better, no matter what has happened.
Well, come and see us in Japan when we're allowed to travel again.
It's next on my list. I was going to go in 2020, and then this all happened.
Yeah. Well, so where are we up to now? So how long were you in Italy for?
About a year. So I think I'm about 24, about to turn 25.
So 24, about to turn 25. Okay, so at this stage, I just want to say that if I submitted the script you've given me so far to Hollywood, they'd give it back and go, I'm sorry, this is a little bit too far-fetched. Already, we're not even at 25 yet.
I like to pack it all in at the beginning.
Yeah. They'd be like, I'm sorry, can you just tone it down? Remove something.
Can you make it a little bit more boring?
Yeah. Oh no, pizza on Italian steps. Yeah. Eat, pray, love. Let's get that one in. But like,
I had read Eat, Pray, Love, and I was like, I am Elizabeth Gilbert. This is me. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and there's an element of real life to that as well, because it is somebody's real life, and this is your real life, and how fascinating it is. So you're recovering from the trauma of graduating. You went to Italy. You had a lovely time there, eating pizza on steps. I love that you've just pulled me into that story. Literally, I'm on the steps now. I'm drinking better wine. That's the only thing that's different in my story. Cotton. And so then you come back to the UK, or what happens next?
I go to Berlin because I'm like, right, I've nailed the au pair situation. I want to be a proper nanny. I want to be like a posh nanny for a posh family. Mm-hmm. So I'd been looking up nanny qualifications, and I discovered Norland nannies that the royal family use, and I was like, I want to be like the best nanny in the world. Like, this is not enough for me anymore. So then I found a really, what I thought was a posh family in Berlin, and they flew me into Berlin for a weekend for a test run, which blew my mind, because I was like, you're just gonna pay for my flight and like summon me from Florence. Okay, that's cool. So they did that, and it was all lovely. They had like a big house with like really big fancy house, and I was like, I accept the job, and they offered me the job. So I worked my notice with my Italian family and then moved to Berlin. And the Berlin family just got like crazier and crazier the whole time I was there. It was very much like the nannying that I was used to was very like I was part of the family, and it was lovely. But these guys were like, you are the woman who looks after the children. We're off now. So it was like they would just go away, not tell me. And long story short, I handed my notice in 6 weeks in, and I was like, I'm so sorry, it's not worked out. Like, you want a different nanny. I'm happy to train the new nanny. Like, I'll stay. I'm gonna make it as seamless as possible for you. And they were like, so I gave them a letter, and then I went out. And then when I came back, my stuff was on the doorstep, and they were like, I feel like I'm making a sort of promise that's actually happened.
No, I believe you, because yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, you've got 45 minutes. That we booked you a taxi. You can just go and like wherever you need to go. Bearing in mind, I'd been in this brand new city for 6 weeks. Luckily, I had made a couple of friends. Like, I knew some people off Instagram, and I had one friend who was kind of a boyfriend, but not really. So I phoned him, and I was like, I hate to do this, but can I like sleep on your floor while I find a flat and a new job? And luckily he was like, yeah, no problem, like that's totally cool. So I just got in a taxi, and my clothes were still wet from the washing machine in a bin bag. It was like that level of out now. Which was it was shocking, but at the same time I was like, I've seen a lot of the real world now, so like, yeah, I can believe this. Like, if this is like my other job, yeah, that sounds legit, like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we're much younger as well, I think things can feel quite fun, but how did you kind of manage with all this kind of like, get out? Oh, now you have no job anymore. Like, oh, I suppose you're talking to your therapist about that. It's not
Yeah, I don't know. I was very much like just in the moment. I was like, okay, I need to sort this out. Like, I've got to find a new job. So I just applied for all the new nanny jobs, and I got one straight away, like brand new. And this family were really nice, like absolutely adorable. I felt like part of their family. They didn't want me to live in, which I really liked. So I had my own flat in Berlin, which I also found really quickly. And they were house hunting, so they were like, come with us, we're going to go to Cornwall and look at houses, and we would love you to come with us, look after the kids. And I was like, thank you, because I'm homeless. So that's perfect. And so I looked after the babies and got to know them really well, because we were like in a holiday cottage for a week looking at houses. And then we went back to Berlin, and I worked for them for a year while they were still looking at houses and things. And then they moved to Cornwall properly, and they were like, do you want to come with us? And I was like, no, I don't want to move to Cornwall. I've just made it to Berlin. I feel kind of settled now. I had a nice flat. I had like friends there. I went to yoga all the time. And I felt very much like I was living life on my terms, rather than like at the whim of random jobs or university or crazy people. Like, I was very much like just in my own comfort zone. So I stayed in Berlin, and I stayed there until 2016. And by that time I'd saved up, I had like a lot of very part-time nanny jobs, and I saved up all my money to go traveling to Southeast Asia. So I did like a 4-month Southeast Asia backpacking trip, which was amazing. And I hadn't really planned what I was going to do after that. I was just like, I'm just going to travel, and I'm going to draw, and I'm going to eat tasty food and meet people and see what the world is like, because I'd never been to Asia. I'd been all around Europe and everything, but I wanted to see what the exotic, spicy bits of the world were like.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like incredible, life-changing trip. You know, those trips that like you never ever ever forget.
Yeah.
That was that sort of trip.
What was a highlight from that?
Oh, there's so many. Like, each country had like its own highlight. Bali was amazing.
Yeah.
I really loved it there. And I did a meditation retreat in Chiang Mai in Thailand, where I went up a mountain called Doi Suthep, and then it was a silent meditation thing for 10 days, and just that was mad. Like, I went on a journey. Like, just being quiet for that long was crazy, and all the different levels you go through, and like day 3 feeling like you're gonna go mad, and then you just go really calm because your brain sort of gives up and just accepts what's going on. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight of that whole trip.
I met a woman recently who did 2 months in one room of just meditation.
What?
She was amazing. I mean, she was part of a massive event. She's Thai, and there was obviously something she needed to get over there. Wow. You know, the people you get to meet are just like, she was, I mean, that story was mind blowing. So, I mean, 10 days as well. That's like, but the layers and layers and layers. Very interesting. I must, in fact, I must get in touch with her and ask her more about that. So, tangent. Then, so you do your 4-month Southeast Asia tour.
Yeah.
Your highlights were Bali and the meditation retreat and all those layers that you go through there. What was your biggest learning on that trip?
I very much felt like whatever I did, it was going to be okay in that trip, because I say I'd saved up all my money. I had £1,500, which to me at that point in my life was loads of money.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
It was a phenomenal amount. It was.
Yeah.
To have over £1,000, I was like, damn, like I'm balling, like watch out world, here I come. And I bought my flight home, so I was like, exactly, yeah, that was me, like $1,000 bills, y'all. Yeah. I had my flight home booked. I was like, as long as I can survive until I think it was June or something. As long as I don't even remember, May. I was like, I'll survive till then. I'll figure it out. It's gonna be fine. And then it did happen that, like, when I was out there, I got little illustration commissions came in, and it would be just as the money was running out, a new commission would come in, and I'd be like, okay, that's good. I can eat and I can find a hostel for the next however long. And it was totally like an adventure. Like, I was just totally trusting what was happening. And I remember in Vietnam, I was in a 16-bed hostel, and the beds had like curtains around them, so it was private, kind of, and you had like your own little fan and the air conditioning. And I think I got like a week and a half in, and I hadn't slept properly that whole time, and I was like, I'm actually going mad now. This is me going mad. I remember I went to get a sandwich somewhere and they put the wrong filling in, and I cried, and I was like, okay, I need to book a hotel. Like, I can't. I'm overreacting too much. And that was the only time that it felt really bad. It was like losing my mind in a 16-bed hostel. I would never put myself through that again.
Yeah. Economy.
economy. Yeah, it was like £3 a night, I think, this hostel. You get what you pay for.
You said you started totally trusting what was happening. Can you just say a little bit more? You said you started doing that. When you say you started doing that, can you tell me how that plays out and what that means?
Yeah, I think like just because so much bad shit had happened, I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like, do what you want. I'm just gonna go with it. So yeah, I sort of like, I didn't give up. I just sort of relaxed, and I was like, that was the change. So like before, I'd been like trying really hard and failing, well, and then at this point, I was just like, I am open to whatever you want to bring my way. Like, I realized the world is massive and I'm this tiny speck on it, and that's a good thing. Like, I'm glad that I'm a tiny little speck of dust in the world. So yeah, it was like I just did that. All
right. So you come back and you'd already been getting little illustration commissions. What happens next?
So my dream, when I decided that I didn't want to be a Norland nanny anymore, I was like, I would love to do a master's in my illustration. Like, that would be really nice. And I know I want to go to Edinburgh College of Art because that's my dream art school. So I was like, a master's at Edinburgh College of Art, and it costs like 8,000 at the time. It cost £8,000 to do this master's, and I was like, well, it's never going to happen. Like, I used to like write down my nanny wage, and I was like, okay, if I earn £75 and I save £2 a week, how long will it take me to save up £8,000? And I was like, oh, 25 years. Okay, good, right, 25. There's just, when you're like trying to make it work, and you're like, it's not, like, there's no way. But I kept it in the back of my mind. And I came home, and all my friends were getting married, so I had lots of weddings to go to.
Pricey.
Yeah, pricey.
Fun.
luckily they're all kind of hippies and stuff, so it wasn't expensive. Like there's no like gift expectations really. And they
Right.
knew that I had no money.
Yeah. No hen do's in like Bahrain or something.
No, exactly. And yeah, in those weddings, lots of good things happened. The first good thing that happened was that I discovered live illustration, because one of my friends who was getting married was like, Katie, would you just paint us when we're getting married? And I was like, yeah, might as well. Like, can I do it on the day of your wedding? Like, get my paper out and paint. And she was like, oh yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Oh, I love that. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I posted about it on Instagram, and I was like, live illustration, like I'm illustrating live. And then a little while later, Glamour magazine picked that up and put me in a hot wedding trend list. They were like, hot wedding trends of 2017, live illustration. And I was like, wait a minute, like that's me. And then I think that did magical things to my website, because having that traffic point from a big magazine made Google trust my website more, like from a search engine optimization nerd point of view. And then
I've just hired somebody to do my SEO for me.
It's
lovely.
magic.
In fact, it's Jessica, and I've just literally linked to Jess. I'm going to connect this one to Jessica, who I interviewed a few interviews ago, who's a travel writer, and she's an amazing SEO person as well. Anyway, that as you said that, I was like linked to Jess.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, SEO is like the magic of my website.
Yeah,
just good. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's all about you, babe.
And then I met my boyfriend at another wedding, who I'm still with now. We bought a house together, and we it's all just very lovely. So it was like all the good things kind of happened in that summer. And my great aunt died and left me £10,000, which was exactly the amount I needed to do my master's. So I applied for my master's and I got in, which was another shock, because I was like, I haven't done really very much illustration. I've just been traveling and I've been drawing in these sketchbooks, but they were like, oh, we love the sketchbooks, like that's fantastic, you've just been drawing off your own back. And yeah, it was just like click, 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 everything started going in the direction that I'd been wanting it to, just via this massive like loop of craziness beforehand.
Oh, the loop of craziness. Maybe that'll be one of your taglines on my marketing. And yeah, that's life, right? The loop of craziness, and it just keeps delivering and delivering and delivering and delivering, because we're humans. So amazing. So you did your master's in Edinburgh. How long was that? So that's 2017. I'm just before I go there, I love this. Okay, so these are the little moments that I love to savor a little bit in people's stories, which is where your mate goes, oh, would you mind drawing us? And you go, can I do it live? And then you do it live, and then you hashtag live illustration or whatever it was. And Glamour magazine's like, ooh, and then that, just like that little yes, and then that drives all this stuff to you. And then that makes you something, these tiny things that happen that create something, those tiny yeses we say yes to, that then create something more fascinating. Oh, I'm so excited by this. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, I love it when you look back at it. It's just tiny little things, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even just knowing that I wanted to do a master's, because my aunt could have left me £10,000 and I could have been like, oh, I'm going to buy a car, or I'll just spend it on another holiday. Like it was just, I knew exactly, I was like, well, that's the only thing I can possibly spend it on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just really.
And was it a 1 year or 2 years master's?
It was 1 year, and it was the best thing ever. Like I loved it so much.
Okay.
And I was, when they say like the student is ready, I was like the most ready student. I was like, bring me the information, I will do everything. Like, yeah, I was in the perfect space for learning, and they delivered loads of things to learn, and it was like the best year ever.
And Edinburgh's beautiful as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Edinburgh is gorgeous, and like having access to the printing materials and stuff. There's this courtyard at Edinburgh, can't remember is it called, the sculpture thing. It's not a courtyard, it's indoors, but like there's, you can smell like the oil painty smells and clay and, well, yeah, it's just like the best environment.
Visceral.
Yeah.
Best thing ever then. So what did that give you then, that year? I mean, obviously I know for artists, just being immersed in that, and what you've just described there as well, the smells and everything, and just being immersed in all of that is just so, I don't know, how would you describe it? It's like, I imagine it like, you know, the Bloomsbury set, they all sit around in London together with all their books and everything. I imagine it's something like that. That's what my imagination pings with there. What was it
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's like just being immersed in it, like you say, and like everyone around you's got the same mission. Like everyone's just wanting to make the best illustration work and create a huge body of work in a short space of time. And because everyone's paid for it, it's not got that undergraduate thing of like, oh, I can't believe I'm at uni, like it's so
Oh, yeah.
boring. It was like that was all gone, and everyone was just like, I'm at the lecture, I'm at the front of the hall,
Yeah.
I've got my notebook out, tell me, like I'm gonna write down every single thing you say. Like I just loved that enthusiasm. There was no embarrassment, everyone was just 100% there to learn, which was infectious.
100% there to learn and infectious.
Yeah.
Good. So you graduate, and we're almost up to present day now, aren't we?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2017.
Okay.
And I think like the main thing that was it, yeah, it would be, yeah, it was like September 2016 I started, November 2017 I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gave me like a new confidence level. Like even though nothing really magical happens at art school, I always tell this to people, like in the good ship, people who haven't been to art school are like, I can never be an artist, I've not been to art school. And I always tell those people, like, don't let that stop you, because there's nothing really magical that happens at art school. But it was having that space and that time, I was like, I'm taking it really seriously now. Like illustration is my thing that I want to do, and that's why I'm here. And it was very much like turbocharged my motivation, and to see other people being illustrators, and I was like, I want to be a lecturer as well, which I hadn't really been bothered about before. So, and also having a master's in the art education world, all you need is a master's degree, and then you can teach like anyone. So that, yeah, everything went really fast after that. So I left Edinburgh College of Art, and I got my first lecturing job offer the next summer. What was it? Yeah, it was the next summer. But in the intervening 6 months, it was that sort of like time, another kind of dark time where I like had no work coming in because I'd been so focused on studying and making work that I'd forgotten about that. So I had some weird jobs in that time. I was a English teacher for an online Chinese company teaching Chinese children English, which was pretty grim. And I was a nanny again for various people. I even looked at becoming a cleaner, and that's like, I hate cleaning. I was just like, I need money to like survive.
Yeah.
Survival level job hunting. But then part of me was like, I'm gonna make it work somehow. Like I just know it's about to work. And then the lecturing job offer came in, and that was a big step up from nanny wage. It was like 4.5 times my nanny wage per hour, and then they also paid for planning time, which was really good, but the job was like a 5-hour round trip away from my house, which was ridiculous. But I did it because I was like, I really want to do this. This is like it was on my previous dream thing. So but in my car, during those car journeys, I would listen to audiobooks, and I just like immersed my brain in everything that I possibly could. So I had like Jen Sincero, is it Sincero? You Are a Badass. It's a really good book.
Yeah.
All of Denise's books. I had the really old ones by Earl Nightingale, Lead the Field.
Okay.
Those are the ones my dad used to listen to when we were growing up. And they're really good. They're like, it's an American man and he talks like this and he tells you the only thing you need in life is a good attitude. And it's just, there's something about it, I find it really comforting.
Yeah.
So I was just driving to uni and filling my brain with all of this good stuff, like prepping myself. I was like, I'm gonna make it work. I don't know how, but it's gonna work somehow. And then it was, yeah, like loads of little things happened. Like I had a car, and then the car was breaking down, and then Dad offered me a job in the office, and he offered me a van if I wanted to use a van. So I was driving a van for a while. But then he turned around and he was like, oh, I need the van back. And I was like, oh man, like I really need to get my own car. So I bought my own car, and it was another really like a beat up ancient car, but it was slightly better than the previous car. And I did things like I got a hands-free kit to clip onto the windshield, like the sun visor, so that I could listen to audiobooks while I was driving. And yeah, I just tried to like pimp it out a little bit. So it was like the car that bridged me from like having nothing to having something was this. It was a Ford Fusion, brilliant cars, by the way.
Shout out to Ford.
Yeah, all the way. And then in January, I think it was, Denise's course, the boot camp, came up, and I was like, maybe now's a good time. I'd been on a list for ages, it felt like, and then that was the beginning of like the really taking myself seriously and being like, okay, I want to actually have some goals and sort my money stuff out, because I saw that even if I got money, I would spend it all straight away. I didn't feel comfortable having savings. I kept getting credit cards, even though I didn't really need that. Like just little things that was like, I was never disastrous with money, but I wasn't good with money.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. I think. I hear you with that. Yeah.
Because I know I see people that are like, I was in £30,000 of debt, blah, blah, and it was never like that. It was very like, oh, I've got £800 on a credit card. I could pay it off, but I'm just not. Like, it was weird things like that.
Yeah. So, but it's still difficult to get up to zero, I think, unless you got some guidance. And I think the great thing about the boot camp that we're in, the money boot camp that we're in, is that it's oriented for women. And so it's very, it kind of understands the way that people, especially creatives' minds work. There's a lot of creative people in there, isn't there? A lot of coaches, a lot of people who are just not naturally given to that stuff, and breaks it down really, really easily. So what was it about? So where are you now then? I mean, are you still lecturing? Have you fully transitioned over into, what happened in the last 3 years besides pimping your ride and where do you know where I met Denise? I met Denise face to face. That's how I was introduced to her 9 years ago in New York at have you heard of Marie Forleo?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Marie Forleo's live event, Rich, Happy and Hot Live, because when I quit my job, my last job that I had in 2012, I literally got on a plane the next day, like I think it was 5 o'clock in the morning, a plane flight, then to Korea and then to New York, and went to this 3-day conference, Rich, Happy and Hot Live with Marie Forleo. I got stuck in Hurricane Sandy and had to stay there for an extra week, but anyway, and I actually met Denise face to face there, that's my introduction to her, and I just kind of followed her over the years, and then joined B School and used her affiliate link, and then got boot camp for free, if that makes sense. And B School, I mean, that's like, I did B School 7 years after going to the event in New York, and I just got it because I just wanted to not have done it. But as it happens, boot camp's been more rich for me than no, actually they've both been really good, but like, yeah, boot camp's been the one that's really kind of captured my imagination, and one that I'm going to focus on from now on, because I just really like the people like you in there. I'm not flattering you. That's why I invited you to do this. I just love the way that Denise is so clear about what happens in there.
Yeah, I like that too. Like those boundaries are so important.
Yes, mate.
Yeah, and I think like starting my own courses, I've always like, Denise is like a role model for setting really good boundaries and being like, this is okay, this is not okay, this is what this group is for. It's just, it's really inspiring.
Yeah, this isn't, even just this last week, I saw her write on somebody's post, hey sweetie, this isn't really what this is for, keep it focused on boot camp. It's like, yeah, just so polite and kind and straightforward and just calling people in on that stuff. All right, so what are you doing now? Are you still lecturing? What's happening?
So
I'm so excited.
I quit lecturing this year. So this has been the year that I've gone fully, I'm just a creative now, which is, it's brilliant, really, to be, because I could have done that and had no money, but I'm doing that and I've got a good income, which is, it blows my mind, really, when I think about it.
6 figures, right?
Yeah, which is insane. Like, I was earning £8,000 a year and I was like, this is fine, like this is enough money. And then when I get that for like for one job, or like it just yeah, it's crazy. I still feel really shy about talking about money outside.
That's fine. So
but it's totally okay. It's just like my own thing. I don't even know why, because like, really, honestly,
well, maybe, Katie, there's a little bit of, well, for starters, 6 figures isn't it, it's enormous in some respects, but it's also, I always say, like, because I used to live in Tokyo, I live an hour outside Tokyo now. It's like, there is so much money in Tokyo. There's billions and billions and billions of dollars in Tokyo, and some of it's mine. Now I can go for £10,000 a year or £100,000 a year. There's not that much in terms of how much money there is in Tokyo. That's that, and that's that. Do you see what I mean?
So
but true. I think when we have done jobs and when we have not been born into wealth, like massive wealth, like, don't get me wrong, I come from, my mum and dad are both teachers, so I've always been well looked after and had a very nice life. But just imagining stuff beyond that can sometimes, and also because you know that a lot of people are still on £8,000 a year or £10,000 a year or £15,000 a year. So my most generous judgment on that for myself and for you is that it's just being mindful not to be too insensitive to the full range of salaries that happen. Maybe that's my most generous. Does that make sense at all?
It does, yeah, totally. And I think especially if this year hadn't been the way it was, I might have been a bit more like, woohoo, like 6 figures. But because I know like people are being made redundant around me,
yes,
with a lot of like very real results that I can see in my world, I'm just like, I'll just quietly toot my little horn over here, like, I'm really excited about this. But
yeah, if you want me to take this out of the conversation, I'm happy to.
No, it's fine, leave it.
On the other hand, I think it's also nice to celebrate and to help people to understand what is available.
I mean, I know for me, I would have buzzed off watching or listening to a podcast of somebody. If I could have listened to a podcast of an illustrator saying, I've earned £115,000 in 1 year, like if I'd heard that in 2016, I would have been like, are you for real? Like, what? Is this possible? Like, that would have actually blown my mind.
And there's just so much money. I mean, if you've named some of your clients there, for example, Apple and stuff, £100,000 to that company is, you know, it's a Christmas party.
Exactly.
That's just the booze.
I was working at one event and they sent every attendee an iPhone. I was like, what?
Right.
But it's just like,
it is, yeah.
But it's really nice to see that there is that much money in the world. Like the world is so abundant when you see it in certain lights and certain angles.
Yeah. And that's why things like boot camp are so important, to help to adjust in that way for people like you and I. Good. So what are you doing now to generate your, we can kind of start to land now. What are you doing now, and what's going to go on in the future, and what are your words of wisdom? That's where we're going now.
Yeah, so I was lecturing for 2.5 years, I think, in total. So I finished this summer. I tried to finish in January, and then they were like COVID happened, and they were like, please, could you teach online? So I was like, okay, that's fine. And then this year we set up the Good Ship Illustration. So we run courses for illustrators, which has been one income stream. And my live illustration has been like wild this year. So like in January I worked for Google for the first time, and then in February I was flown to Amsterdam to draw live, which was incredible. I'd had that on my list. I was like, I want to live illustrate internationally, and that was the first one where I went in person. And then COVID happened, and like all my jobs have been international pretty much, but just from my computer. So you got to be specific with what you ask for. Because like Zoom calls are not the same as flying their universe, just so you know.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe this counts as going to Japan as well. That was also on my list. And I also set a bullet journal gang because I used to teach bullet journal workshops in person, and I was just like, oh, I could totally do this online. Like, let's see if that works. And it did work really well. And it turns out like quite a lot of people want to join in with my wonky way of planning and like imperfect planning that's not corporate and it's not for like middle-aged men. It's just like getting the stuff down and organized in a way that works for your own creative brain. So that's been really fun to set up.
Amazing. I'm actually on your website now, going through to the Good Ship illustration. Oh, I just love it. So lush. And so what happens next then? And so this is where you're getting your income streams. So tell me just a little bit about your income streams. I don't need to know any figures. I'm just interested to know how you've structured your business.
Yeah, so the live illustration is obviously all mine, because it's just me in the business. I hire a VA part-time, so I have 5 hours of help a month from her. She's amazing. She helps me set up systems and streamline things and do all the stuff that I'm either terrible at or just don't want to do. So like finding receipts and like ticking boxes and spreadsheets and all that stuff. So yeah, the live illustration is all mine, and I get all my inquiries through my website. I don't cold call anybody. I learned about human design this year, and I'm a projector, and apparently the best thing for projectors is to wait for the invitation. So I feel like letting people find my website and then contact me always works so much better than me being like, I want to work with you. Yeah, it's me from Northumberland. Yeah, like that's. I just let people...
then you're back on the stage with the guitar again.
Yeah, exactly. I want them to be like, we want you, come and work for us, and I'm like, okay then, if I'm available. So that works so much better.
Love it.
And then I have my bullet journal gang as an evergreen course. People can just jump in anytime. So that's a nice little constant trickle, rather than doing launches and stuff. So I focus all my launch energy on the Good Ship with Helen and Tanya. So it's been like every 3 months or so. We had one in, maybe more than that. It was like June, July, and then October, November, and then the next one's going to be next year.
So the 4-week course is, so you said which one's evergreen? Sorry.
Bullet journal.
Sorry.
Yeah,
what does evergreen mean?
Evergreen. Yeah, evergreen is just like, it's always open. You can always join, like an evergreen tree is always green. Anybody can hop in at any time. And
right, it's not dependent on you being present.
Exactly, yeah, it's totally passive, like people just do it themselves. And I'm in the Facebook group chatting to people, and I do lives in there sometimes in little extra workshops. And yeah, the Good Ship, we do launches, so the doors like actually close, so you cannot join unless we open. And then we do a big launch, and we send a billion emails and go live all the time and get everyone all excited, and it's exhausting, but it's really fun to do it that way, because the energy just like gets everyone going. And yeah, it's been, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's like Good Ship, live illustration, and bullet journal gang are my 3 income streams.
Amazing. And what's next then? What's in your 5 and 10 year dream and vision? What's in your mind's eye?
It's so hard to know. Like I've started playing with the idea of starting an agency, because the live illustration inquiries are getting more than I can do myself. So it would be really fun to figure out a way that I can like get the inquiries and then send them out to other people who do what I do. Because I feel like I'm saying no to so many people. I feel a little bit like I'm wasting all these inquiries when I could be like taking them and feeding them to other people. So that's in the plans. We're going to write more courses for the Good Ship next year. We've got 2 courses planned, which is really exciting. And yeah, more live illustration, really. I've also got a new productivity idea of like a mini product, because bullet journal gang's £97, and I wanted to do like a little sort of £27 taster, like a little that I can just set up, run Facebook ads to.
And that's beautiful as well. I've been thinking about this in my own business too, because then that reaches people who may not have even £97 to spare. And that comes back to that kind of modesty and humility around money, perhaps. I'm just tying that in myself to, because I'm thinking about this an awful lot. This year has been one of those years where you think about this kind of stuff a lot. So yeah, while at the same time still being able to run a very lucrative and lovely and lush business where we're serving people in the best possible way we can. So love it. What are your, then you've just taken me through your whole life and back through the ancestry, and you've just listened to yourself. What do you think is what would you kind of impart on our listeners and viewers today?
I don't even know. I think it's really important to have like it's too cheesy to say to have a dream, but like to just kind of know what you want. Like that's really important, because when you don't know what you want, I feel like life will just sweep you along and maybe kick you a little bit on the way. Whereas if you know what you want, you're more likely to be swimming in that direction. That's my imparting wisdom. An object in motion stays in motion, so you want to go in the right way, like if you can.
Life can sweep you along. Beaut. So where can we find you, Katie?
So my internet name is Katie Draws. So it's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Katie Draws. And the Good Ship Illustration, we're mostly on Instagram, so that's at the Good Ship Illustration. And we run a free art club every Friday, so we go live on Instagram and we all draw together, and it's dead fun. It's 8 p.m. UK time.
4 or 5 a.m. Japan, won't be there.
You'll be asleep hopefully. But yeah, we upload the replays and everything, because there's a lot of people whose kids aren't asleep yet, or for whatever reason they can't attend live.
Yeah, beautiful. So thank you so much, Katie. That was like beyond my wildest dreams of what could have come out of this. I mean, we've been on such a trip, and you were so generous with everything you've shared with us here, Katie, and so just really generous with your stories. I appreciate you so much, and just this incredible journey through your life. And the one thing that I've really noted down from this is I can just invent things and do them, and that's what you've done. You've just invented things, done them, created these beautiful places. And I mean, there are so many ways to lead a life. Katie's is one. I'm so happy that you've allowed me to tell your story today. It's just fascinating. I'm going to be having a good think about this when I get off the phone and lie on my sofa and and just like digest all that came in there. Thank you so much, Katie.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Okay.
I can't believe all the things I talked about. You don't really think about your own life, do you? Till someone asks you and you're like,
no. And that's why. And I even think that it's better than spoon feeding people some kind of coaching. You know, obviously I flag a few things along the way there, Katie, but I don't want to spoon feed the coaching stuff to people too much, because I think that the juice and the richness comes out of the story itself, and out of listening to somebody like yourself talking about all the twists and turns that your life has taken, and the trauma and the tragedies and the, you know, and the psychologies and the therapies and the parents and all that stuff. It's just, I think it's very, I don't even want to say inspiring. It's something more, it's something quieter than that. To me, it's more like you said, if somebody had said to you a few years ago that an illustrator can earn over £100,000, there may be something in this story that makes somebody go, oh, all right, so this isn't it. Like, if I fail to go to the open mic night when I'm 13, that's not it. It's not, we're not done here. Or whatever piece of this story really speaks to people. I just think it's fantastic, and who knows what happens next. I can't wait to see. So anyway, I'm going to keep this bit in because it's just nice and spontaneous, and yes. Thank you so much. And you can find me at sarahfaruya.com. I'm Sarah Faruya from Sarah Faruya Coaching, and this episode will air in January. And so this will be our New Year episode, which will be really fun, really, really fun. And also today is December 10th, 2020, month 10 of the COVID coronavirus. So whenever you're listening or watching this, that's where we are now. And it is what it is. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you, Katie.
Well, thank you. See you later.